Good evening and welcome to this special presentation. Now, the Supreme Court has landed a body blow on BCCI President N. Srinivasan. In a major indictment of BCCI chief, the Supreme Court has said that Srinivasan must step down so that there is fair probe in the IPL scam. The Supreme Court said that it was nauseating that Srinivasan remain BCCI chief.
It's taken the apex court of the country to put the BCCI chief N. Srinivasan in his place, clearing the pitch for the strongman of Indian cricket. The court said a fair probe in the IPL scam was not possible if Srinivasan was chief and that he should quit if a fair probe was to be conducted. Though the court stopped short of ordering his removal, it said the contents of the Mudgal committee report submitted to it in a sealed envelope are damning. It also said it was nauseating that Srinivasan had remained the BCCI chief. The court wondered why Srinivasan was sticking to his chair, saying if he did not quit, it would be forced to pass an order. The court even asked the BCCI's lawyer to look at the contents of the envelope and decide not as a lawyer, but as an officer of the court whether Srinivasan should step down.
I believe it's an observation. It's subject to the response of the BCCI, and I believe the case is listed day after tomorrow. So you will come to know on day after tomorrow what happens. I mean, you see, our job was to submit a report on a factual finding and make some recommendation. We have done both.
तो सील्ड लिफाफा के ऊपर बात आई और उन्होंने बीसीसीआई के लॉयर को माननीय न्यायालय ने कहा कि अगर क्रिकेट को आपको साफ करना है तो श्रीनिवासन को स्टेप डाउन करना पड़ेगा। अगर श्रीनिवासन स्टेप डाउन नहीं करेंगे तो हम वर्डिक्ट पास करेंगे, जो भी वर्डिक्ट होगा।
The BCCI chief is sticking to his guns and seems in no mood to abdicate, even though the board has taken notice of the court's objections.
As I said, that if it's the Supreme Court, we'll have to be all bound by what Supreme Court says. There will be no choice. It cannot be ignored, but so far I don't think there's any announcement because I have not had any intimation.
It's a great pronouncement by the learned judges. They're absolutely right, and I feel vindicated. I think it's a wonderful, really a great judgment. It's a great thing for the Indian cricket.
It's now up to the BCCI to fall in line and obey what the Supreme Court has said. For now, the court has set Friday as the date for the Indian cricket body to respond.
World T20 is going on, Team India is winning, IPL is about to start next month, and in the midst of all this comes this big blow to the BCCI. N. Srinivasan has been saving his wicket for a long time, but this time around it might just be very difficult for him to get a favourable decision from the third umpire. From New Delhi with camera person Probir Biswas, Atit Sharma for Headlines Today.
All right, from our Delhi studio, we are joined in by consulting editor sports of the India Today group, Boria Majumdar. We have Shivani Gupta, our correspondent, who have in fact been getting us all the latest developments, all the latest details ever since that verdict was actually pronounced by the Supreme Court. Shivani, it's over to you.
Thanks a lot, Sanket. Let's introduce our panel first up. In the studio with us, former Indian cricketer Chetan Chauhan, S. Kannan, the editor sports of Mail Today, and also senior journalist Gulu Ezekiel. Joining us from outside of our Delhi studio, former Mumbai captain Shishir Hatangri, and also Ranjit Kumar, advocate of the Delhi High Court. Before we speak to these guests, Sanket, you have a very important guest with you.
Absolutely. The big exclusive at this moment. We are in fact joined in by BCCI former treasurer, Mr. Ajay Shirke. Mr. Shirke, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
All right, sir. My first question to you is, why hasn't Mr. Srinivasan quit yet? What is he waiting for?
Well, I think that's the question the board has to answer, not me.
But Mr. Shirke, do you feel that Mr. Srinivasan is actually looking for a loophole at this moment, as far as this court verdict is concerned?
You see, I am not party to the proceedings and I have not actually heard what the court has said. Whatever I have heard is only from news channels, and there has been some very strong observations have been made. But I believe the case is posted for a
couple of days from today. So we should really wait for the final orders in this case.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Shirke, do stay on with us. We have Boria Majumdar, Shivani Gupta as well as a whole host of guests here in the Delhi studio. They too would like to ask questions to you. Boria, it's over to you.
Ajay ji, simple question. Is Mr. Srinivasan's position finally untenable? Because we have been asking this question for 1 year. It has been a media trial as far as Mr. Srinivasan goes. Finally, it is not a media trial. It is the highest judiciary of the land, using the word nauseating. As the president of Maharashtra Cricket Association, don't you feel saddened, disappointed, frustrated and ashamed?
To answer your question, I resigned from the board quite some time ago, and I was not comfortable at that time, and because of my personal comfort, I had made it very, very publicly known that I was not comfortable in the way the things were going, and that's why.
So, to answer whether Srinivasan should go, or, I don't think I'm the right person to answer that question. The matter is submitted in the highest court of the land.
No, but Mr. Shirke, what the highest court of the land has said, that you quit your position or we will make you. That's effectively what they have said. So the simple question to you, sir, is, as a former BCCI official, don't you think Mr. Srinivasan has to abide now?
No, that is not an order, that is an observation.
But they will pass an order in 2 days' time if he doesn't.
It may possibly transform into an order at the next hearing, but one has to wait and see what the order is.
All right, let me ask the same question to Gulu Ezekiel first, who's sitting right next to me. Gulu, anyway, Srinivasan could decide, say, no, I am not guilty, I have not done anything wrong, which he said last year, and I'm not going to quit?
Well, we haven't heard anything from the gentleman yet, and obviously he must be, consulting his advisors. But I think, common sense demands that this is the end of the road, and there's really, there's no other option for him but to step down. I mean, it's ridiculous that he's, been clinging on to this alibi for the last 1 year, and it takes the Supreme Court to pass an order like this, which I feel is completely farcical and ridiculous, that he didn't have the, the common decency and the common sense to make such a call last year itself.
May I ask, with Sanket and Shivani, your permission to Mr. Kannan? He was actually, before the show started, we were having a chat and you used some really harsh words. Like, doesn't the BCCI sort of feel answerable? Isn't it shameful? What do you feel as a very senior journalist who's covered cricket? The Indian cricket fan and the journalistic fraternity is disgusted with this whole thing, isn't it?
I think if this gentleman has got anything called shame, he should have quit by now. I think it happened at 11 o'clock and now it's 8 p.m. 9 hours have passed, he's made no answer, not even one reply. But on the other hand, you've got 3 vice presidents from the BCCI saying that if the Supreme Court asked him to go, that he should go. So I think the writing is on the wall. He's trying to buy time, but there's no time. And I think it's a matter of time, and it's going to be a matter of disgrace eventually, that if he does not quit, and then Justice Patnaik is going to tell the world on Thursday that he's been sacked. Yes. I don't think in any Indian sporting federation any such move has ever happened before.
In fact, it could be a global precedent of sorts. BCCI calls itself a private body, and yet the Supreme Court has to intervene and decide who it should be headed by or not. Before I go to Sanket, a quick reaction from Chetan Chauhan as well. Sir, it's actually important for the BCCI to ensure Srinivasan doesn't stay.
Well, yes, I think this matter has become very serious now, and especially after the remark of the Supreme Court, there is no option remaining with Mr. Srinivasan. I think he should call his friends, he should call his own group people, the coterie of his, and discuss this matter, and maybe somebody else can take over till such time that the probe is over, the inquiry is over. And I think if he is found innocent, he can always come back and take over.
All right, Sanket, back to you.
Well, yes, let me put that question across to you, Mr. Shirke. I mean, a lot of people here feel that, it actually took the Supreme Court and a rap on the knuckles from the Supreme Court, to actually drive that message home for Mr. N. Srinivasan. How do you look at this? Is he trying to hold on or cling on to this particular position? And now it has taken the highest court of law to actually, pass its order in the case of a private company. It's not a government company, the BCCI, it's a private company.
Again, I would like to make a small correction. It is not an order here. It is the very, very strong observations that have been made, which may lead to an order.
Absolutely.
So let us not, bypass the process of law.
Mr. Shirke, how do you look at the Supreme Court actually using the word nauseating? It's a strong observation.
And it is indeed a very unfortunate thing that the BCCI finds itself in this position today. And as someone who has served that body for a little while, I am personally very saddened that the highest court of the land had to resort to this situation and, even further affect the image of the board.
Okay, our panelists seem to be having more questions. Boria, yeah.
Mr. Shirke, you stepped down last year taking moral responsibility. Sanjay Jagdale did the same. Mr. Srinivasan has been defiant and brazen for a year, and that entire year has been punctuated by silence from the BCCI. Do you now envisage the BCCI members, mandarins, political head honchos, your colleagues who are presidents of state associations to at least come out like you have done? Or will there be silence for another 36 hours? Have you been in touch with anyone from London yet? Or what is your assumption at least?
No, I never contact anybody from the board or I never ever do that. But let me tell you something that I was personally very hurt with, that when I attended the last BCCI meeting, a very senior leader, a very senior member of the BCCI made a rather uncharacteristic comment that I resigned from the board to get media applause. Now, if the members or whoever sits in the board are so severely limited by their ability to think beyond their personal interests and go into the larger interests of the board, I personally feel that the members should introspect, should look deeply within, and ultimately the institution is the biggest there can ever be, and the institution's interest has to be safeguarded above anything and anybody else.
Now, Mr. Shirke, I have two questions for you. The first question, number one, don't you think it's about time that the whole country actually unites in cleaning our cricket? It's a campaign that we are running here on Headlines Today that, whether it takes the Supreme Court, there should be this inner voice as far as everyone is concerned in the establishment called the BCCI, outside, that we need to clean our cricket.
Definitely. I mean, you need to clean cricket, we need to clean all other sport, we need to clean all other administration in the country, be it in any field. But the question is, how are we going to do it? And that is the important point, because unfortunately I'm a very junior member of the board, and I've been in the board only for the last couple of years. And I personally feel that that time when this scandal erupted, especially the part 2 of the scandal, we could have handled this in a much better way. And the reason that I left was because I was deeply saddened by the comments and the brickbats that were thrown at the board and its members. So, as a public institution, it has to act and carry out its work in a manner that is way above board.
Well, Mr. Shirke, what actually happens to the IPL now, Boria? That is going to be the most crucial aspect, considering in the light of these Supreme Court observations and 2 days later what actually happens in the Supreme Court. What happens to the Indian Premier League 7th edition?
I was actually about to ask that question to Ranjit Kumar and Shishir Hatangadi. In fact, just to take off from what Sanket said, question for both of you. The BCCI lawyer was actually called, shown the contents of that sealed envelope and said that don't behave like a paid lawyer. After reading this, do you want Srinivasan to stay on? Now the question is, if you have skeletons in your closet, how can you request the highest judiciary of the land to keep those under the cover? Shishir, do you want those skeletons to come out for a cleanup, or do you think that the Supreme Court can be asked by the BCCI not to reveal those contents to the public? Same question for Ranjit Kumar. Shishir first.
I don't believe, frankly, that the Supreme Court should hold back anything now that they've come into the public domain, and we know that what is in that envelope is very critical and crucial, and it's been shown to the legal counsel of the BCCI. So I think it becomes pretty much the duty of the Supreme Court now to come out in the open. If they can come out with such a scathing remark as they have, nauseating is not a timid word, Boria. it's quite a strong word, and especially when you're talking about nauseating about India's premier cricketing institution, the world's the strongest body. If the Supreme Court of India can say that, I think they shouldn't hold back now. They should reveal everything and let the public decide. Let the fans of the game decide. The fans who made this game so popular decide on where Indian cricket stands today. That's when the cleanup operation will happen, not before that.
Ranjit Kumar is a senior advocate joining us. Mr. Kumar, do you feel there is any wriggle room left for N. Srinivasan? Legally speaking, can he defy the observation of the Supreme Court, at least right now, for the next 2 days?
No, I don't think so. He cannot defy the Supreme Court. Nobody can defy the Supreme Court. If anybody defies Supreme Court, it is a contempt of court. I think the observations made by the court are very, very strong. The observations are based on the Mukul Mudgal Committee report. Mukul Mudgal Committee report has categorically found that, first, that why did the BCCI officers have anything to do with IPL franchisees? Secondly, that the son-in-law of Mr. Srinivasan was involved in betting. There were two very scathing remarks. The matter is in a criminal court. Supreme Court had asked for this report. Based on that report, that the court has made that observation. Therefore, and if something is there in the sealed envelope, which is so nauseating for the courts to have made that observation, Mr. Srinivasan must go. Must go.
Shishir, don't you find this absolutely shameful that we have not heard anything from the BCCI? That N. Srinivasan has still not quit? 9 hours?
No, I'm not surprised, nor am I ashamed about that, because obviously they will have to consult each other. There are board members who will sit together and decide what is more important now. Is it the institution, is it the BCCI, or is it individuals? That is what they will have to take a call on, because the very fact that the Supreme Court has given an observation is in itself one of the most shameful incidents of Indian cricket. I mean, if you look at the history of Indian cricket, this could be a black day in the history of Indian cricket. So the very fact that the Supreme Court has passed this observation, it is obvious that the board members will be sitting, and there will be some wiser counsel sitting in there deciding the fate of BCCI, which is more important than any individual in the history of the game. I mean, let's not, when we talk about the sport,
let's try putting that question across to Mr. Shirke.
Any administration.
Absolutely. Mr. Shirke, because you are a guest joining us from the farthest, you are joining us from London. The last word to you. You have been part of the BCCI. How do you actually propose a cleanup? Do we get to see you in the BCCI sometime again?
No, I was asked that question and I've already said my goodbyes. But, like I said before, the credibility of the institution, that is what was taking a big hit when this scandal erupted. And I think it has gone even deeper and the credibility has sunk even further. So the members have to really take a call, and they have to introspect. They have to they have to start believing that they are not infallible, and they have to look and really work hard and find out proper ways. Maybe investigate every IPL game, like one of the past presidents had said, or some others had called for. And unless this fraud which has entered the system is cleaned up, I think the very foundations of BCCI might be in for a major shake-up.
All right, Mr. Ajay Shirke, as well as others joining us through the course of these 30 minutes. Thank you very much.